In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. Another lecture on the introduction to the understanding of the Quran is presented to you. We are presenting the introduction to the Quran in the form of small questions, and then their answers, so that through these questions and answers, we can gain an introduction to the Quran. There will be a total of 15 lectures on the introduction to the Quran. After completing these, God willing, we will present short lectures related to the mission of understanding the Quran, in which people of all ages will be able to easily understand the Quran. So, let's take today's lecture question. Today's lecture question is, what is the background of the Madani Surahs? First of all, let me clarify that the division of surahs in terms of the revelation of the Quran is in two ways. Number 1, Makki surahs, and number 2, Madani Surahs. The surahs that were revealed to the Prophet, peace be upon him, during the 13-year period of preaching in Mecca, are called Makki Surahs. Whereas, after the 13-year period of prophethood, when the Prophet, peace be upon him, migrated from Mecca to Medina by the command of Allah, the surahs revealed in Medina are known as Madani Surahs. So, let's understand the background of the Madani Surahs. In the previous lecture, we presented our discussion regarding the background of the Makki Surahs. In this lecture, we will talk about the background of the Madani Surahs. The Islamic movement, under the leadership of the Prophet, peace be upon him, spent 13 years in struggle in Mecca, which resulted in a great success for the Islamic movement, in the form of the Islamic State of Medina. All members of the Islamic movement, following the guidance of the Prophet, peace be upon him, gathered in Medina from wherever they were, across the Arab region. The atmosphere of opportunities in Medina turned the Ansar and Muhajirin into a real force within the Islamic State. Thus, the third phase of the invitation officially began in the Islamic State. In this phase, the situation had completely changed. The Muslim Ummah succeeded in formally establishing an Islamic State. The ignorant system, which was eager to crush the Islamic movement, found that the Islamic movement had not only escaped its clutches and settled in Medina, but it also had a small Islamic State at its disposal. This had become a new challenge for Arab ignorance. Because the ignorant system was desperately trying to preserve its identity during the Meccan period, Arab ignorance was preoccupied with the thought of crushing the Islamic movement. However, its failure, due to poor planning, was evident, and the establishment and existence of a small Islamic State had become a source of great concern for the ignorant mindset. In this situation, the matter had shifted from crushing the movement to preventing the nurturing of the state, and, God forbid, thinking of ending it. Although the Islamic movement had succeeded in establishing the state, it also faced new challenges in Medina regarding maintaining its identity and continuing its work. Upon reaching Medina, the Islamic movement encountered the Jews and Christians, which was a new kind of challenge for the movement. Additionally, various types of hypocrites had infiltrated the Islamic movement in Medina. Their presence within the Islamic ranks itself created a difficulty. The Jews, Christians, and hypocrites were the elements that erected mountains of challenges for the Islamic movement within Medina's internal system. Meanwhile, the state of Medina was also facing threats from all sides on an external level. After the migration, the 10-year period of the Prophet's, peace be upon him, mission was the Medinan period, during which the challenges for the Islamic movement were of a new kind. This created a state of emergency both internally and externally throughout the entire state of Medina. Ultimately, this movement achieved its goal of success, and the whole of Arabia came under its influence, as a result of which the doors of invitation and reform opened on an international level. In such a situation, the nature of the guidance needed to face the challenges also continued to change. Accordingly, Allah Almighty revealed speeches to the Prophet, peace be upon him, that sometimes had the style of fiery oratory and at other times were adorned with regal decrees and commands. In these speeches, sometimes the wisdom of teaching was hidden, and at other times, the style of reconciliation adorned the message. This was the Medinan period, during which it was explained through the revelation of the Quran in the form of Madani Surahs, how to establish the state on Islamic principles, and on which principles and regulations the various sectors of life should be based. It was also explained how to deal with the hypocrites, who were a product of Medina, and what the approach would be towards the disbelievers of the land. What will be the basis of relations with the people of the book? What kind of conduct should be adopted with warring enemies and treaty nations? How will the organized group of believers fulfill the duties of the Caliphate of the Lord of Majesty? On one hand, these speeches were educating and training Muslims. On the other hand, messages warning them of their weaknesses were also being revealed. They were being inspired to strive with their lives and wealth in the path of God. They were being trained with messages of the Islamic mission to face every situation, whether victory or defeat, hardship or ease, prosperity or adversity, peace or fear. In terms of ethics, all members of the Muslim Ummah were being prepared in such a way that they could become successors to the Prophet, peace be upon him, and effectively carry out the work of invitation and reform. Those who were outside the circle of faith, including the people of the book, hypocrites, disbelievers, and polytheists, were all addressed according to their different conditions. The messages in the Madani Surahs included explaining to them, inviting them gently, reproaching and advising them. Efforts were made to warn them of Allah's punishment and to provide lessons from instructive events and circumstances in such a manner that the argument was completed against them, leaving no justification for them. This was the background of the Madani Surahs, upon which we have completed our discussion today. Alhamdulillah. Today's lecture has concluded. In the next lecture, we will strive to further explore the introduction to the Quran. From this platform, I invite you to come towards understanding the Quran. This is the word of Allah, revealed in accordance with human nature, and this book is very easy. To understand the Quran, we have started an excellent series on Quran comprehension, which will include short lectures. So, let's understand the Quran through these short lectures. My mission is to spread the knowledge of the Holy Quran to every corner of the world, but I cannot do this alone. I need your help. If this message touches your heart, and if you believe in spreading the light of the Quran to the world, then please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it. Together, we can reach those who are searching for the right and true path, who wish to improve their afterlife. See you in the next lecture. Until then, take great care of yourself. May Allah be your protector. Peace and blessings be upon you.